I guess to start with, I'll bring you in, Len. Can you just sum up the mood of the group after a loss like that, and how quickly you have to sort of park a performance like Saturday and move on to the next?
Yeah, obviously the boys are pretty disappointed with the results last week, but we kind of went through our review of the game and we've kind of moved on, and we've trained well this morning, and we're just looking forward to the week ahead. So the boys are just excited to get back out there.
Does it help coming to a place like Perth where you've had success, particularly at Optus in the past? You're playing in that 22 game against England, in that sort of that famous comeback win where you sort of got the ball rolling amid a lot of sort of setbacks.
Yeah, it's always awesome to come over to Perth and play at Optus Stadium. But yeah, the boys are just ready to get out there and play a good game against the Saffers.
As James Slip was on yesterday talking about just sort of how the team diverted from the game plan, was that the sort of similar theme that's come up? It's just sticking, like the importance of sticking to the process this week and sort of taking those opportunities when it presents?
Yeah, for sure. I think we missed a lot of opportunities out there last week, and for us it's making sure that we take those moments and capture those moments and move forward there. So yeah.
I guess, Geoff, one for you. Losing guys like Nick Frost and Jeremy Williams was almost within sort of like 10-15 minutes in that last period of the game. How much did that sort of affect the set piece flow, and how you look to sort of bridge that gap when you bring guys like Seru and Josh Cunham, Sam Carter, these guys who haven't been around the camp for as long as these other guys have?
Yeah, I'm always disappointed to lose guys, especially when you lose blokes in the same position. We know it can affect you, but we're always, I guess, we're sort of a next man up mentality. The lads that have come in have been excellent, have trained really well, learning really fast. The rest of the group, the players as well, they're taking them to the side and teaching them. So far they've fitted in really well, and we've been really pleased with training.
Hey Geoff, hope you're going well. Can you just explain, we haven't had the chance to speak to Joe just yet since Josh Cunham joined the group and Sam Carter. Why Josh? What does he bring? And is he in the mix this week to take the field?
Look, I know Josh very well. Brings some great intent in what he does. Very skillful. Great engine for a lock. Great engine. In terms of is he in the mix this week, I definitely wouldn't be saying that in here because the team's not been picked yet. We'll review training today and then make a decision on guys. But look, he's a good kid. He's got a bright future. We just want him to keep working hard. Like I said, I'm definitely a fan of him and a lot of other locks that we have. I just know he's got to keep working at his game.
So Ryan Smith had been in and amongst the group a little bit, but you've gone with Josh this week. Is that because of a particular characteristic that he has that you guys think might suit the box more than what Ryan had?
Another reason is Ryan Smith had a kid, became a father for the first time on Sunday. So there's a big reason there. Is he's lucky for him, and I think fairly early as well. So is that right, Maria? Fairly early, so I think it's important for him to be with his wife and baby right now as well.
Yeah, that's a fair reason. What have you made of the Springboks line out and their variations over the last couple of weeks? And I know that Joe said that he was expecting a little bit of what they were doing with the double jumpers, but how do you think the progress is going there with the set piece? It's even the scrum, it's difficult against that box front row.
Mate, look, we know they're a good team. Everyone does. They're a cohesive team, a cohesive forward pack with a high number of caps, played so many games together. They always stick in a little special, whether it's around a mall or a sneak around the park. That one was obviously very inventive. We know we've got some big boys that do the basics really well. Like, we're fully aware of what the task was last week, and we're probably maybe a bit of I'm trying to think of the right word, not a reality check, but just a bit of grounding for our lads, just to say, look, these are the current world champions, and as a pack, you know, when you're playing against the current world champions as a backline as well, you know, you've got to be right on your game. And like Lenny said earlier, little areas that we were inaccurate at, chances missed. It could have been a different game if we'd done our things better. And the review's been pretty direct with things we could do better, but mainly looking at opportunities as well, opportunities missed.
Geoff, talking about that, looking at those little bits of execution, have you looked at the in the review those kind of moments of discipline early on? Giving away I think 4 or 5 penalties in the first little bit there, just giving them access to your line, and in a way, is that can there be a positive in spotting that and showing that to the team that minus those errors, you could, like you say, a different game?
Of course, mate. Look, discipline comes about when we're inaccurate. So it's basically focusing on can we be more accurate in our game. But just like you said, you do not want to give a team like South Africa entry points in your 22. You don't want to give them ball. And we're fully aware of that, mate. If you look at the first half, we didn't have much territory at all. So how can we exert our game? Is just by being accurate when we get a chance to, when we through set plays, through our unstructured attack, defence, whatever it is. But look, discipline comes from being inaccurate, and unfortunately we were particularly inaccurate in those first probably 10 minutes of that game. And
is there anything behind that? Is it over enthusiasm, sort of to make an impact at a breakdown or something?
Sometimes, mate. Sometimes it's a team that's still getting to know each other. Let's be real about the team. What do you think, mate? We've got some great players here. Great players, great lads. We'll keep plugging away in training. Like I said, we don't want to give them entry points, but the lads are fully aware of that.
So when you have a squad with, I think it's about 4 or 5 years difference between the South Africans and Australians in terms of experience, how do you sort of make sure losses like this turns into real sort of building blocks for the next sort of couple of years coming up, when you consider the Lions and World Cups on the horizon, where you're going to be playing world-class teams?
As long as we learn from our mistakes, mate, it's, that's the first important thing. I also think when you look at Super maybe 4 or 5 years ago, these lads would have played against a lot of these players already in Super Rugby, where they've not done that at the moment. So the lads that are fresh into the squad, this will be the first time playing against some of these players. So now they're fully aware of what's expected, probably around the collision area when you play a team like South Africa. But as long as we learn, as long as guys like Len's done it for a number of tests now, but other guys fresh in, as long as we learn. Look, I can't say any more than that. If we don't learn from mistakes, we won't push forward. If we do learn from mistakes, we'll be better for it.
Len, to bring you in, I think you sort of came into Super Rugby as the South Africans were heading over to the URC and European comps. Is there an adjustment period that sort of these Australian sides need? And I guess, is there any Super side that's come close to sort of what the physicality that you experienced on the weekend sort of can throw up?
Yeah, I think New Zealand teams are quite similar. They're real big and physical there, so I don't really, for me, I don't see that much of a difference in terms of rugby style, but they're just big ball carriers who love to get, be aggressive and put you under a lot of pressure and do that for the full 80. So for us, it's sticking in there and matching that physicality.
Last couple online, please, guys. We'll come back to the room.
Geoff, I think last week Joe said Marika wasn't quite ready. Will he be ready this week if called upon?
Yeah, mate, look, we'll find out. We need to review training first. But I'd say all those guys that are in will be better for a week in camp. A week with us, a week learning our play, our structures and what we expect.
Anything further on?
Lenny, can I just ask you around the midfield and the outside backs? Obviously, you guys didn't get too much ball last week. Is that as much a tactics thing, or is it a communication thing about trying to help the inside playmakers? Because you compare the Springboks, they've got the most experience, midfield combination. I imagine these things, they're a developing kind of work in progress.
Yeah, I think what we learnt was we don't want to be waiting for pictures, especially in the A zone there. In terms of backs getting involved there, we want to help our forwards out there. Take the tough carries and put them under pressure in that way. So I think we just need to step up. Our outside backs need to step up and take some of that responsibility, especially in the A zone.
Thanks, Chris. Ben? Not?
Just a couple for Geoff. Obviously, a lot was made of the fact you guys lost the physicality battle on Saturday, and it's one thing. It's easier said than done to say we need to be better in that area against a pretty incredible Springboks pack. So how can you kind of achieve a bit more parity in that area?
Yeah, I think we lost the accuracy battle, which then fed into their physicality. If you look at, they were good at retrieving their contestable kicks, for instance, whereas we weren't. You look at a few of our first set piece plays, probably didn't go to plan. And all of that little bit of inaccuracy just fed into their physicality, so the focus is being on more accurate in what we do. And I know that might sound boring, but if we're more accurate, then we further up the pitch. If we're more accurate, we'll put our players like any other backs in a better position. So a big focus on just being more accurate in what we do.
And Carlo Tizano, obviously, the Perth boy, made his debut against the Springboks. He was kind of thrown in the deep end. But what have you made of his first weeks in camp and his international debut?
Yeah, he's good. He's a little fireball, isn't he? Gets stuck in. I actually met Carlo when he was 17 and he came across to the Rebels a long time ago. Exactly the same kid. So I thought he did some good things. Rips in, tries as hard as he could do, and he was a solid debut from him.
And just how important is the start for you? Obviously, Perth crowd, expecting a big crowd at the stadium. How important is the start and getting the fans behind you?
Yeah, I think the start's important, not just for getting the crowds behind us, but just for us. We saw in that game, we were inaccurate in what we did. The first 10 minutes, conceded a number of penalties. Suddenly we're on our line, now we're 22. It's always important in every game, mate, but especially when the stakes are higher, when you're playing a better team. Really, really important. That doesn't say if a start goes badly, we've got to be good enough to find our way into the game. But for our lads, yeah, a big focus on that first time.